The Royal Caribbean Group has announced a fundraiser, Celestyal Cruises has resumed operations, MSC Splendida has successfully restarted cruising, a not so common finding found on board a cruise ship reported. Well, someone reported finding cocaine on board a cruise ship. And as cruises begin in the United States, we try to answer the question to help understand whether COVID-19 vaccination will be required on some ships or not. But before we get started, may I request you to please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and activate notifications so that you stay updated with me, and at the same time, you help my channel grow in a huge way. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Let me start with the United States cruise restart and a query that many people have about the COVID-19 vaccination. Royal Caribbean International is restarting service in the United States with almost 9 ships, and they have different rules regarding vaccination against COVID-19. So, for Freedom, Odyssey, Allure, Symphony, and Marina, which will be sailing out of Florida ports in July and August, vaccines are quote-unquote strongly recommended for all eligible guests. Approximately 90% of the guests are expected to be vaccinated, but those choosing not to be vaccinated or not willing to verify vaccination will be subject to testing and additional health protocols at their own expense. As for the Serenade and Ovation, which will be sailing out of Seattle, the Independence from Galveston, and Oasis from Bayonne, the guests will need to be fully vaccinated with the exemption of only children who are under the age of 12. Children under 12 will need to be tested and subject to health protocols with no additional charges for any testing. Moving on to Carnival Cruise Line. Carnival Cruise Line confirmed its plans to restart service in July, initially with 4 ships sailing in the Caribbean and Alaska. Carnival said that 95% of guests will need to have their final approved COVID-19 vaccine at least 14 days prior to sailing and will be required to present proof of vaccination at the time of check-in. The company also noted that it will be able to accommodate a small number of unvaccinated guests who would be under 12 and allow a small number of exemptions. Recently, Carnival confirmed additional plans to reactivate more ships in August. Vaccination requirements for those have still not yet been announced. Norwegian Cruise Line is scheduled to deploy 3 ships in the United States until September 2021. With the new Norwegian Onboard, which will be sailing out of Alaska, the company is also planning to offer cruises to the Caribbean with the Norwegian Gem and Bermuda with the Norwegian Breakaway. Now, all initial voyages will operate with fully vaccinated guests and crew. As for Celebrity Cruises, 3 ships will be entering service in the United States by late July 2021. Celebrity said that they will require the guests to be inoculated. According to the company's website, all guests who are 16 years and older must be fully vaccinated with COVID-19 vaccine doses administered at least 14 days prior to sailing. As of 1st of August 2021, all guests who are aged 12 and older will need to be fully vaccinated. MSC Cruises has confirmed its restart plans for 2 ships which will be sailing out of United States ports in the beginning of August 2021. The MSC Meraviglia will kick off the restart on the 2nd of August, followed by the MSC Divina, which is scheduled on the 18th of September. Now, both of MSC ships will offer cruises from Florida to the Caribbean and Bahamas. According to the company, the new itineraries will welcome both vaccinated and unvaccinated or non-vaccinated guests. Those who are not vaccinated or unable to verify vaccination will be subject to requirements such as additional testing as well as restrictions which are still to be announced. My guess on this would be similar protocols that MSC is already following for our European sailings. Princess Cruises is resuming its US operations in Alaska with the Majestic Princess. The vessel will welcome guests back on the 25th of July ahead of a series of 10 sailings which will be out of Seattle. Now, these cruises are available for guests who have received their final dose of an approved COVID-19 vaccine at least 14 days prior to the beginning of the cruise and do have proof of vaccination. Moving on to Holland America Line, they are scheduled to start welcoming back guests in Alaska, and this is scheduled to start on the 24th of July. On that day, the New Amsterdam will sail from Seattle for the first 10 Saturday departures that will operate through the 2nd of October. Guests will be required to receive their final dose of an approved COVID-19 vaccine at least 14 days prior to embarkation and also possess proof of vaccination. Moving on to the Bahamas Paradise. An update which I did cover a couple of days ago, the Bahamas Paradise will be one of the first cruise lines to resume service in the United States. After receiving a green light from the CDC to conduct a simulated sailing in June, the company plans to welcome guests back next month. On the 2nd of July, the Grand Classica will restart its regular program of short cruises between Palm Beach and Freeport. According to Bahamas Paradise website, guests will not need to get vaccinated against COVID-19 before boarding, while the crew will be fully vaccinated. The Silver Muse from MSC Cruises will resume round-trip sailings from Seattle starting on the 29th of July, making Silversea the first luxury cruise line to operate in Alaska this summer. Now, according to Silverseas, one of the measures to guarantee the health and safety of their operation is making sure that all their guests and crew are vaccinated against COVID-19. This was the latest that the company did mention on their website. Our next cruise news update is slightly off track, but I nevertheless thought of including this as I thought that it is important because it's something that happened on a cruise ship. So, what happened is, cruise ship security recently discovered approximately 69 pounds of cocaine on a cruise ship during a routine vessel inspection. So cruise ship security officers approximately found 31.5 kilos or 69.5 pounds of cocaine during a routine inspection. This happened last week, which is the first week of June, while the ship was off the coast of Florida. According to reports from the United States Customs and Border Protection officials, the ship's security found suspicious garbage bags with brick-shaped packages in a void space on the ship. The package was then handed over to CBP officers assigned to Port Everglades after the ship docked into port on the 6th of June. This is what Port Director of Field Operations for Port Everglades and Fort Lauderdale, Dylan D. Francisci, had to share. This seizure is indicative of excellent collaboration CBP has with our industry partners to detect and interdict illegal drugs being smuggled into our nation. Our officers strive daily developing and enhancing our partnerships with other law enforcement agencies, industry partners, and citizens of our community to stop criminal activity at our borders, be it land, air, or sea. So, on the 6th of June, CBP officers met the cruise ship and their security team during the maintenance stop at Port Everglades. CBP confirmed that the white powder substance tested positive for cocaine and was secured by the Customs and Border Protection. Now, while the cruise ship was still docked at port, the CBP Advanced Tactical Cargo Enforcement Team completed a thorough inspection of the entire ship and no further contraband was located. The Director of Field Operations, Vernon T. Foret, mentioned that there were a total of 28 bricks which were found and they were discovered on a Royal Caribbean ship. So what happened was, the officers in Port Everglades, Florida were notified by a first officer on board the ship that 28 bricks of cocaine weighing more than 31 kgs were discovered while doing routine inspections. After that, the drugs were seized by the CBP officers. Talking of Royal Caribbean Group, the group has announced a $650 million fundraise. Royal Caribbean Group today has announced that it has commenced a private offering of $650 million aggregate principal amount of senior unsecured notes due 2026 to be issued by the company. The company intends to use the proceeds from the sale of the notes to fund the redemption in full of approximately $619.8 million aggregate principal amount of the 7.25% of senior secured notes due 2025 issued by Silversea Cruise Finance Limited. These include to pay call premiums, fees and expenses in connection with such redemption, and the remaining for general corporate purposes. Moving on to Celestyal Cruises. Celestyal Cruises has confirmed that it has successfully resumed operations with its signature 7-night idyllic Aegean itinerary on the Celestyal Crystal. This Greek island itinerary calls at Kudasai, which is in Turkey, Rhodes, Santorini, Lavrion, Mykonos, Milos and Crete. The start of the summer season with the deployment of Celestyal Crystal will be followed by the deployment of the Celestyal Olympia, which will set sail on the 20th of June through the 30th of August on Celestyal's new 7-night legendary Archipelago from the cruise line's dedicated terminal at Lavrion Port and Marina, which is in Athens. Moving on to MSC Cruises, the MSC Splendida has become the latest MSC cruise ship to restart summer sailings with a 7-night itinerary to the eastern Mediterranean from the northern Italian port of Trieste. Calls are to Ancona, Italy, Dubrovnik in Croatia, Bari in Italy, and the Greek island of Corfu and Kotor in Montenegro, or Split in Croatia, before the ship returns to Trieste again, with embarkation available in each of the Italian ports. 4 daily transfer shuttles for MSC Cruises guests will run from Venice's Marco Polo Airport, and one from the city center to the cruise terminal in Trieste, offering a convenient service for embarking guests who have flown to Italy from Europe. The prices are pretty economical as well, per person starting with €25 one way and €50 as a return. So the MSC Splendida represents the company's 5th ship to resume cruise holidays this summer. The MSC Grandiosa and MSC Seaside are sailing in the Western Mediterranean. The MSC Orchestra is operating in East Mediterranean, and the MSC Virtuosa is cruising the UK for British guests only. The MSC Magnifica is scheduled to resume sailings on the 20th of June this month from Italy for voyages in the East Mediterranean. The Seaview will restart on the 3rd of July from Kiel in Germany for sailings in the Baltic Sea to Sweden and Estonia, followed by the MSC Seashore, making her maiden sailing from the end of July in the Western Mediterranean. And with that, we conclude our cruise news updates for 15 June. If you have a moment, please do share your comments down below. And yes, a subscribe to my channel and a thumbs up for my video will really be appreciated. Until next time, you take care and stay safe.